Hi, it's Christy here with my Time to Profit. I am super excited about our topic today, but before I dive in, I want to just introduce myself just in case you're new around here. My name is Christy, and I'm the owner of a company called Time to Profit. And what I do is I help business owners increase their profits by helping them find and win the clients they love to work with. And today we're specifically talking about how to do that by asking engaging questions for your potential clients. So let me ask you this. If you were going to do one thing, if there was just one thing that you could do before the end of the year to either hit or exceed your revenue goals, what would that one thing be? So what I want you to notice is that just by asking that question, your brain started thinking about an answer. And that is the power of questions. Questions literally hijack the brain. The moment you hear one, your brain starts to answer it. It wants to answer it. It starts considering it. It's thinking about it. And there is so much research that backs this up. In one study, for example, with more than 40,000 participants, so that's a huge number of participants, it revealed that simply asking someone if they were going to purchase a new car within the next 6 months increased their purchase rates by 35%, a 35% increase in purchase rates just by asking if they were thinking about buying a car in the next 6 months, because all of a sudden the brain's like, I don't know. Am I? Right? Let's think about that. Let's consider it. Another study in the Journal of Applied Psychology asked citizens whether they were going to vote in an upcoming election. And when they did that, it increased the likelihood that they would vote by 25%. And these are just studies that show just by asking questions, you change behavior. And here's what I want you to know, though, is that asking questions isn't just about influencing behavior. That is one of the things that it does. But more importantly, from the perspective of sales and really generating the conversations you want to have with prospects, what asking questions does is it creates a dialogue and it starts a relationship. It signals to the person that you're talking to that you care about what they have to say, that you're interested in their opinions, that you're not showing up with this agenda that you're just going to push on them regardless of what they say. It just really shows them that they matter. And that is really, really important in terms of helping to break down barriers and to learn what it is that they really care about. And sorry, I totally got distracted, ADD. Okay, when someone asks you a question, not only do you answer it, but when you do it, you start to share information with them. You start to trust them. And that really allows the conversation and sales process to unfold in a much more authentic way. So what I want to do today is dive in and give you some tools to ask questions that are thoughtful and engaging and impactful to help you move those conversations forward in your own conversations with your prospects. So are you ready? Let's dive right in. The very first thing that I want you to do is brainstorm questions in advance. Oftentimes, if you have thought through the questions that you want to ask before you're in the moment, it pulls you back and it reminds you that this isn't just a one-way dialogue, that every conversation is a question, and you have the tools and resources at your fingertips to ask really good questions. So you're not trying to come up with them on the fly when maybe you're stressed out, when maybe there's other things that are happening. It gives you the opportunity to just know in advance what you want to ask so that you can be prepared to ask the question when the opportunity arises. So when I say brainstorm questions in advance, the best way to do this is to think of every benefit for your product. What are the 3 key things that you sell on? What are your product differentiators? What are the things that you're excited about what your product or service offers that's different from what your competitors offers? And then for each of those things, think of 2 to 3 questions that are relevant to the user or to your potential clients. So say, for example, if you offer preferred insurance with comprehensive coverage, what question could you ask that would get prospects thinking about how that might benefit them? How having a comprehensive policy might be more beneficial than just having one that has the least expensive premium, right? So, for example, that question might sound something like, I know we're talking a lot about insurance today, and it's really easy to get caught up in the numbers, and there's just, different rates and different coverages. Let's just kind of get down to the, nitty gritty. Hopefully you never have to use insurance, but if you did have to use your insurance, say your house burned down tomorrow, what would you absolutely need your insurance to cover so you could get back on your feet? Let's start there with the bare minimum of what you would need to cover to feel confident about getting on your feet, right? So all of a sudden they start thinking about, what would that be, right? Would it be a new computer? Would it be a wardrobe upgrade? Would it be a hotel coverage so that I had a place to sleep, right? Like, what are those things that truly would be important in that moment? Because then all of a sudden I'm much more engaged in what you're talking to me about comprehensive coverage and why that's important than if you're just throwing numbers at me and statistics at me. It gives me personally involved in the conversation. So that's one example. So first, brainstorm those questions related to each of your benefits in advance. So for each benefit that you have, that you like to sell on, that you like to talk about, that you're proud of, I want you to come up with at least 2 to 3 questions for each one of those. So 2 to 3 questions that you could ask that would help bridge that conversation and get the prospect engaged in why those benefits are meaningful to them. The second thing when it comes to questions is to only ask one question at a time. So you're going to have a list of questions, but this isn't an interview. You're not going to sit down and just ask them all of these questions right off the bat. What you're going to do is ask one question at a time and then have a meaningful conversation about what that answer is and how that relates to your product or service. So you don't want to get to the point where you have your list of questions and then you're just, okay, thanks, that was helpful. Okay, thanks for sharing that with me. Okay, yep, noted. Okay, great. That's not going to feel like you really care. So ask the question and then really listen to the answers. And this is really tricky. A lot of times when we ask a question, if we don't get a response right away, either because we're nervous or because we're uncomfortable, it could be really easy to jump right in and try to answer that question for the client or the prospect. Don't do that. Give them time to think about it. If you're asking thoughtful questions, they might have never thought about that question before. So if there's silence, likely they're considering the question. So give them the space to answer the question. Let them think about it. Don't jump in. And then once they've answered it, really listen, right? Give them, hear them. Let them finish. Pay attention to what they're saying. Stay present with the answer. And then summarize what they said back so that they feel heard. If it sounds like, right, I'm going to give this example that we used. It sounds like having a place to sleep, plus your computer so you can work, and clothes so you can show up at work meetings are the most important thing that you would need to feel like you would get back on your feet if there was a fire at your house. Is there anything I missed? Right? So it just shows, did I get it right? Check in with them, right? Am I on the right track here? Yep, that's about right. That sounds great. And then use the information that they've given you to tie it back to the benefit. So, okay, based on what you've told me about what would be important to you, it sounds like X type of policy that covers those things within this time frame and also has the added benefit of ABC would be most appropriate. How does this sound to you? Right? So you can use their answers to then tie it back into the benefit. And that is one of the cool things about questions is it gives you the language that they use to talk about your product or service. So you can speak about it in their language if you've asked thoughtful questions that create that dialogue. So after you've done that, then you can go ahead and make a proposal, right? Okay, sounds like we're on the same page here. Here's what I propose. I'll put together a proposal for you on what this type of policy would look like, and we can review it together on this date. Does that work for you, right? So See how asking those questions can really move that conversation along in a very authentic and meaningful way. So this is all great in theory, but it doesn't do anything unless you take action and implement it. So it's your turn now, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to block some time on your calendar this week to brainstorm at least 10 questions that you can start asking your prospects. So think about the benefits, think about your differentiators, think about the value that you bring to the people that you serve, and then what are the questions that are meaningful related to them? What are the questions that help them start thinking about how those things impact their lives, how those things impact their business? And share at least one of your questions in the comments. Now, if you are stuck on this, or you're like, I have no idea what makes a good question, or I just want more ideas for questions, I can never come up with enough questions on my own, go to mytimetoprofit.com. There is going to be tomorrow a download sheet. It's going to be a cheat sheet on there. 5 questions to help you multiply your sales. You can find it either on the blog that we're going to post here on the Facebook page tomorrow. I'll post the link, or it'll be on the homepage. So that cheat sheet will be available to you so that you can start really going deeper with your questions. And if you feel stuck, to give you some places to start. Again, that's mytimetoprofit.com, and you'll find the cheat sheet both on the blog and on the homepage. So your homework this week is start brainstorming those questions, so then you can start asking them, and it will really change the dynamic of your sales conversations. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week.